So is topping a tree ever a good idea? Well, if it's a good healthy tree, I say no. But in this case, we've got a tree that's dying from the top down. And as you can see here, there's very little healthy tissue that's sustaining this top branch. So I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to take it one step further and see how it's going. If you look at those other cuts, you'll see they're nice and white and there isn't any decay. And that's what this tree looked like. The whole top was dead and it's working its way down. So we don't really have an option. If the people want to keep the tree, then they're going to have to take the dead parts out. Well, still a lot of decay in there and there's still a lot of problems happening, but at some point I can't go too far. So the couple that lives here, he's 90 and she's 86. They really like the shade that these trees give them, so I'm going to do the best I can with what I've got to work with. I looked at the trunk, and I'm looking for any evidence of trunk canker disease, which is quite common in liquidambars. And I don't really see any. The evidence that I normally see is sort of a cracking and sometimes some exudation, oozing of sap that's coming out of the little cracks in the bark. But for all intents and purposes, it doesn't look like it's too bad. So I have to ask myself, why are these trees dying from the top? So if I take a good look around, not only at the base of the tree, but the growing environment, I can see that these trees are growing in a lawn that is pretty brown. We also had a carob tree that wasn't looking too healthy. We pruned out, the bad spots and shaped it up a little bit. But the environment for these trees is pretty much a lawn that is no longer being watered. We just got through 10 years of drought. We've had 2 years of rain, the last 2 years, but that dry lawn tells me a story. I asked them, I say, do you water your lawn very often? And they said no. And this is what happens if you don't water a lawn. But it also had top cuts. Somebody got up there and topped this once. And there's also a lot of harsh wounds up in the upper canopy. So that leads to drying out. So it's a combination of problems. This tree right here, that's about as far as I'm going to go on it. If I went any further, there wouldn't be much of a tree left. I did advise them. I said that your tree is on its way out. I was looking at this telephone pole, which was kind of interesting. There was a lot of these long longitudinal cracks, and the whole pole was leaning. I wonder how long that's going to last. Now, whenever I get up in the bucket, I like to go up as high as I can in the bucket and just do a good look around. Look at those Italian cypress there. I like to identify all the trees in a given area. This happens to be Saratoga, and Saratoga is just packed with lots of trees. Occasionally there'll be a tall redwood or a tall pine. A lot of conifers around here, but the diversity of tree species that we have to work on is incredible. Now that tree in the back there, that's a big Siberian elm, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later on. Neighbors had a couple of Monterey pines. The one on the left is completely dead. It's been attacked by beetles, and the one on the right is likely infested with beetles. So there goes that hammock. We're really close to the foothills, but the area that I live, it's got a lot of big trees. And because we live in a Mediterranean climate, we have the advantage of a lot of different trees to work on. Can you see that swing set right there? I want to show that a little bit later on in the video. You're going to be pretty impressed with this. So don't go away yet. Jorge was doing some chipping there, and a lot of this brush was really wide and really difficult to chip. There's a problem. Look at that. 3 redwood trees. Look at the way they were pruned. They were cut back like Italian cypress. That is just wrong. Do not do that to a redwood tree. So I got all the dead wood out of both of these trees, and that's about as good as it's going to get. I did advise the clients that the trees are on their way out. And interesting, the 86-year-old woman says, well, we've only got a couple more years too. Let's see who goes first. I had to laugh with her. She was cracking me up. I want to talk about my landscaping abilities, but I've done a lot of ponds and creek beds. And here's one I saw from the neighbor. The reason I'm showing you this is just a pile of rocks. It could be so much better. Did a little bit of a look through in the backyard. The old couple there, they're trying to preserve this old peach tree. It's got one peach on it. That's really, really trying to preserve a tree that's way past its best time. There's another peach tree back there. It's been dying for a long time, but it's still producing a few peaches. It's on its last legs as well, but you know, I always advise people a peach tree can often linger for a long, long time. Now here's a lemon tree that is in pretty rough shape. It's been dying for a long, long time, and unfortunately a lot of the foliage on it is just from the rootstock. The sprouts are coming up from the ground, and more than likely that won't turn into anything very good. Okay, who knows what kind of tree this is? Look at those flowers. It's such a beautiful tree. I'll give you a clue. It's got really amazing fruit. That was a pomegranate. Look at this. I cannot believe this. These people have lived there since 1962, and they put this swing set up for their kids. And look at that. The tree ate the swing set. I showed that in a video a few years ago. I've done these people quite a few times over the years, but that just blows my mind. So unfortunately, the daughter of these people showed me a photograph of the base of the tree, and that tree was infected with Armillaria malea, oak root fungus. So its longevity is in question. There's those two trees in the front yard. You can see the dry lawn. Hopefully they'll grow okay. There's one across the street that gets more water. These are liquid amber trees, and there's quite a contrast between the trees.